NASCAR is all about playoffs. You don't make them use season as a success.
Well, drivers all have an opportunity to win the championship.
It means the world to me to be able to race for a championship.
The closest goodness is as close as it's ever been.
There's no better race driver.
One a day, you might be out.
This was a career-defining year.
Nice job.
I've got to do so many things this year that I really dreamed.
The first of the playoffs is always crucial. It sets the tone for the whole thing.
Welcome to win number 8 on the season.
Statement win, guys. Awesome car.
We've had a lot of wins this year, but this is by far our most dominant.
It's going to be nuts trying to find a way to the playoffs the next 2
The last one, Talladega, obviously, is a big confidence booster.
Trying to anticipate anything that go in your favor at Talladega is naive.
We're going to see teams working together, but the uncertainty of how that all goes, well, we're going to wait to see how that all unfolds. And we take a look at the starting grid. 25-year-old Briscoe, the winner of last race, and secured into the next round. He starts on pole alongside no race.
Obviously, Justin Allgaier starting in fourth place. No super speedway top 10s this year. He's still going in fifth place.
Yeah, we roll all the way down to Riley Herbst, Las Vegas, Nevada. Got to get a little work done today. Further down the list, AJ are back there in row 18. Wait till the end to get to the front. It's going to be fun to watch. No contender when all said and done.
It ended up the last time we were on a super speedway where AJ Allmendinger and the 10 were working together, and it was, well, not working together anymore. They ended up wrecking toward the end of that race. That's what the teammates are hoping doesn't happen today. One guy that's out there that doesn't really have a teammate, he drives a Ford, and there's only one other Ford out there, is the driver of the 98 on the racetrack right now. Is he indexing the wheel, Jeff? Is that what they're doing?
He is. He's just getting his wheel where he wants it to be. See that red stripe on the top of the steering wheel? He wants to get that centered up the road. The front tires are both straight in the wheel wells so the pit crew guys can get the tires off. So we really want to let it get going again here before we bother him. I see the car shut back off. It's running now. But he's moving that steering, just getting that line where he wants it to go. So as he starts to roll off and the car goes straight, that red mark is straight up and down directly in front of him. That's what he's looking for. I think it's okay to join him now. He's getting caught back up to the field. Just let it. Let's just so he doesn't get into a wreck. We don't want to be the cause of a wreck, if that's okay. We just wait for him just a second here. He's got to work through all this traffic.
And he gets back and grab his position. The drivers are all told that they can end on the backstretch. That's where they're supposed to do it, Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. And when you're watching these races, you hear a driver say, you know, my steering wheel is knocked off. It's not aligned up anymore. That's what he's looking at when he says that. So a lot of reasons for wanting to get that line straightened up. So Chase still got to catch up to this front pack.
Typically, when you're in a car Friday and Saturday practicing and running a lot of laps, you really get understanding what line the steering wheel needs to be on. These guys don't get a chance to do that, obviously. Surely these guys have a lot of problems with indexing throughout the year.
All right, we're going to be safe now, so let's join him. Hey, guys at NBC booth, you got us?
All
right, buddy, you are the only one here with nothing to lose because you won last week. Tell us how that changes your approach today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely has been this race changed it quite a bit. I know that I put a lot of emphasis on Vegas just for that exact reason. You don't want to have the thing here in a must-win going into the Roval just because it's kind of the same scenario. So I think priority number one today is one Ford, and part of that's trying to get this 22 car locked in. So trying to keep that in mind throughout the stages, and at the end, you know, just be on the aggressor side all day long. Try to just get better at plate racing and being aggressive. So just trying to do that. Obviously got to be there at the end to win this thing, but at the same time, we got nothing to lose. So trying to get this Four Corners Racing School Mustang up front. Got a lot of power in the road with Roush Yates. Should be a good day.
All right, so you just mentioned that you got to help Austin Cindric out because he also was in a Ford, but how do you do that?
Tough. You know, it seems like the last couple of years we've seen so much emphasis on manufacturer racing and team racing and plate races, and you know, numbers-wise, certainly down. That makes it hard. But I think trying each other. We're already at a deficit with only being 2 cars, but you know, we're each other's, you know, best ally on the racetrack. So, you know, we might be down numbers-wise, but we both have 2 really strong cars, which helps. So, you know, if we can get a little bit of help from another team, that'll go a long ways. And that'll work.
All right, buddy, good luck. We appreciate you taking some time with us today.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Junior, we know that we're riding along with Chase Briscoe, right?
Yeah, Briscoe's got the US Sense camera on board. Has that helmet cam. That'll be pretty fun seeing his point of view and where he's looking. You know, we'll be able to tell when he's looking in the mirror and so forth and what he's trying to check out. Winnemac, Indiana's Justin Haley's will be carrying the leaf filter camera. He has a side panel on this car as well. Out Florida's Ross Chastain has the Nutrient Solutions camera. And he has a helmet cam as well. His helmet cam looks a little lower. I kind of like that vision there. And you see how they have that tape on windshield as the sun sets a little bit, keeping the sun out of their eyes. That'll be important late in the race.
Cars are headed down pit road. They're going to check their speed there. They haven't been able to do that because, as you mentioned, no practice, no qualifying. A guy who's very familiar on pit road, our own Steve Lard, is at the track. Steve, what have you noticed so far?
Well, what I've noticed is back at Talladega on pit road, nerves return. As a crew chief, this track excites you. You get to build the fastest race car, give you the best chance. But the concern is, once the race starts, you actually have the least amount of involvement of really any race we run this year. Handling doesn't make a big difference. Really, your only goal is to kind of orchestrate the race. Make sure you pit your car. We just heard Chase Briscoe said, hey, he wants to work with his other Ford teammate of Austin Cindric. Well, to do that as a crew chief, you have to race and make sure you pit together. There's 2 short stages to start this race, so you have to have a good man. 15 laps, 300 miles, as I mentioned. Stage 1 and stage 2, all 25 laps. Quick. In that final stage, 63 laps. Only go a little over 40 laps on fuel, so a pit stop's going to be required. What strategy will you have to not only have track position, but to stick with your dancing partners? Whoever you want to work with, you can't break them up on pit road.
Well, we'll see how that out each team, and a lot of manufacturers will try to work together as well. For the green lights, let's go back to pit road.
Rick, Brandon Brown is one of the great stories here in the Xfinity Series playoffs, and before first race last week at Vegas, he pointed to Talladega as his shot to advance on to round 8. He told me about the tuned at Richard Childress Racing earlier this week, so he said it should be better than they've been in the past, but the one thing they are lacking, teammates. So he said everyone else has had a chance to have team meetings and come up with a game plan, but Marty, he's been resigned to texting other drivers and hoping they'll play fair with him today.
Kelly, we're going to talk a lot about teammates today, and one of those that we're going to follow is Junior Motorsports, the group, CRB, Club Racing, and the RCR bunch. Now, Ryan Sieg is a part of that group. He will not participate in the drafting help that they'll all have this afternoon. Why? You know, like being my lone wolf, I don't have to worry about anybody else and their plan and sticking to their plan. I can worry about me. In the 39 today, after a top 5 finish at Vegas, that's all I'm worried about. Rick?
Top 5. Well, how do you stay up front? You showed us that the rest can happen anywhere on the racetrack. Unique about Talladega, the start-finish line, it's not right in the middle of the tri-oval on the front stretch.
Yeah, this race. Think somebody's going to win it. They know somebody pops out where ends up winning this race. And think about how important they are. We show you how close the points are. The stages are quick. Only 25 laps into this first one.
Things happen fast at Talladega, one of the fastest racetracks in the world. Talladega, high banked, high speeds, high drop. What will happen? Race 2 of the first round. The Xfinity Series is underway. Thinking of the Xfinity Series, these can't lock bumpers. They can't lock up tandem and run together around the racetrack. We saw a push there. Getting out front now. One of the other things we'll talk a lot about is blocking, and we will see that on a regular basis here.
Yeah, you can hit the guy in front of you. You just can't stay. You can't push him and stay locked up to him. I think it's going to get aggressive right off the start here. You know, positioning yourself I know it's 24 laps before the end of this first stage, but that happens quickly, and positioning yourself right now is important.
Some good momentum coming from the top. I think Briscoe to get on the outside. That car seems like he's just playing pedal there. Now they're side by side. Briscoe's going to try to stay down here in front of this other Ford, the 22 car of Cindric, and work together and allow those Chevrolets up on the side.
Well, it's an unfight. You talk about Chevrolets versus Fords because there's only 2 Fords in the entire field. The field is definitely Chevrolet. So how do you decide what to do if you're a Ford?
Well, you're in that inside line. Everybody behind you is kind of forced into position to have to push you and grab you. So I guess as long as this field doesn't thin out, it doesn't really become a numbers game.
Yes, interesting. Chevrolet, Toyota, also there's only, I think, 5 Toyotas in the entire field, 27 Chevrolets. So a huge advantage.
Interesting there. Noah Gragson went real wide, and his teammate, Justin Allgaier, did not go out there with him. Went to the middle to take the lead.
And no one will go with Noah out there at this point in the race. They're going to try to fill the gap in front of them and push Noah all the way to the end of the line.
I don't know if Noah wanted to go out there and go to the back. Seems like the only thing you could think of is maybe some temperatures, but it's a little bit early for that. Oh, a little bit out of control there. The 11 Haley pushes 21. Anthony Alfredo, he got out of shape, had to back off. Look how much he's actually got. Line going to run on Justin. Inside line stretched out ahead there by Car. Here comes that outside line with momentum again. Will the Fords get up there and block?
They're doing it as a team, almost. Obviously not teammates, but the 2 Fords go together to block the lines.
Got underneath the 39 of Sieg. Now there's a battle for second place. Allgaier in that 7 red car. He's been really aggressive so far. He's trying to split his Fords up.
Just trying to go to the front, pass whoever's in front of him. I agree, trying to keep those Fords apart. Those Fords seem desperate to work together and stay together, Marty.
And I asked Justin Allgaier before the race, Junior, I said, do you like plate racing this year? He said, I do today because I need these stage points. But the interesting thing, you see 2 Junior Motorsports locked up, Justin Allgaier, Michael Annett in those red cars up front in the bottom, working together. Now that felt like they worked together to carry all Junior Motorsports cars, but almost to a fault, to the point that they actually affect each other because they're all working together. So the plan today, a lot different from Junior Motorsports. Get to the front, however you can get to the front, and once you're there, then we'll work together. You know, Jeff, sometimes you make a plan and you work too hard to stick with it. Junior Motorsports felt like that's what happened. They were falling back to catch another team, and that's when they all wound up getting in the wreck. So a much different plan for Junior Motorsports today.
Yeah, Marty, plans are great, but as things start to unfold, sometimes those plans have to change. And to take a lot of cars and move back in the field to go pick somebody up, I don't like that idea. I just don't think that's right. I think if somebody gets hung out, they just get hung out, and you just have to keep moving forward.
And as I'm listening to Marty give that report, Junior, I'm looking at you and I'm saying, wait a second, we have arguably one of the best ever at doing this. What kind of advice do you tell your drivers at Junior Motorsports?
I just talk to the drivers who reach out. I don't really go trying to, force any information on anybody. If you want to learn a little bit or take any of my advice, my phone, you can call anytime. And if you drivers have, the ones that do, I tell them to take every run. Have fun, and learn what your car can do. Be aggressive. And I've tried it all. I've tried running up front. I've tried riding in the back. And what works is being aggressive all day long, trying to lead every lap.
Let's listen in on the 7 radio right now on the inside line, leading that line.
I wasn't trying to hang the 9 out. I just wanted to side draft it. He wouldn't pull down in front of me there. Yeah, I know what he was doing. We didn't need to get off this bottom soon, though. I said for
We need to get off this bottom soon. Why he's saying that is typically the top gets strung out. And as that happens, more cars bail on that inside line. Look at this 98, though. He's going down to the bottom for some reason to help that bottom line, pull them along. But I think if you just commit to that top, you can thin this bottom out, force everybody into that high line, and follow you around this racetrack.
Right now, everyone's following the 98. Chase Briscoe, he won the last race. He's safe on to the next round. But man, looking strong here at Talladega. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Perfect for race fans. And by Toyota. 7 of Justin Allgaier has pulled even with the 98 of Chase Briscoe, so no blocking for Briscoe right now. The fight is the inside line or outside line, which prevails.
That's pretty smart, though. I mean, you can block, be aggressive, probably maintain that lead, but Briscoe thinks it's early in the race to be doing anything aggressive like that, so he's going to trust this outside line to prevail. It looks like it will.
Saw the leaf filter 11 of Justin Haley moving to the inside a little bit, trying to get some clean air.
Well, he saw an opportunity to get on the quarter panel of the 7 car in side draft, so when he went down there, the 22 just looked in the mirror and saw him and was going down there to block him, but also help at the same time.
And you saw how when that 11 side draft the 7, what that did was it helped the 22, right? Now that whole outside line got a big run, and all that started in the 2nd row. It shows you how important it is. Justin Haley doing his job there, pulling the 7 back, how much it helped that outside get forward momentum. And more and more cars start heading toward that outside lane. It's going to be imperative to get there.
You see that top line moving right now. Chase Briscoe has really kind of dictated the pace of this race so far. He knows that his corporate teammate Austin Cindric in the 22 right behind him is the driver that needs to win the race. Chase Briscoe's already advanced to the next round of the playoffs, but they really feel like Austin in the 22 pushing Chase in the 98 is their best recipe for success. And Austin told me, hey, as long as I'm leading the last lap, he can lead all the rest of them he wants to. But Jeff, making those plans, very difficult on the execution side. You and Clint Boyer a number of years ago had a plan like that at Talladega here a few years ago. That worked, didn't it? But it doesn't work for one driver. One driver's got to be willing to give up that win.
Yeah, it worked for Clint. Not sure it worked for me.
One driver.
But you know, that was our plan going into that race, and I think that's what you have to do in this situation. You know, I don't think that Briscoe would be disappointed for, you know, to help Cindric win the race. Although part of me is like, why would you help a guy that you think is going to be your toughest competition? The reason and the answer is because Ford has asked them to work together. Only 2 Fords on the racetrack together, and Ford's asked them to go out of their way to help each other.
Sitting here with 13 to go, coming to 12 to go, Ross Chastain is sitting in around 13th spot, sort of hovering around the back of this pack. He needs, I think, a top 4, top 5 finish in these stages to try to acquire as many points as he can throughout the race. Interested to see if he tries to make any moves to start to close in on the finish of stage 1.
I think what's interesting right here too is you can see, looking out of the back with this United States Census 2020 camera, back of that 22 car, they're on the bottom. That's really helping that bottom lane. If these 2 cars stay on that bottom, it will continue to pull the bottom lane forward. When these 2 cars move to the top, it will slow that bottom lane up. Because clearly this 98 and 22 are very fast.
All right now the 22, Cindric, chasing after the 98. Let's listen into his spotter right now, and that would be Coleman Presley.
Half behind you, squared. 7 is still clear. The 7 is still clear. Both lanes are built equal behind. The 7 is still clear. Both lanes are equal. 7 is still clear. The top's moving slight. 1 ahead of the 7. Outside quarter of the 7 now. Both lanes are equal. 7's going to get to you sooner. All right, half behind both lanes. Top is behind. Bottom's ahead. Bottom lane got quarter paneled. Both lanes are going to get there at the same time. You're 1 ahead. Bottom lane's tighter. Top's a nose ahead. Top's a nose ahead by 1. Now bottom's even.
So imagine being in the car and listening to that information. You don't even have to look in the mirror. The information is so precise that you don't have to look in the mirror and you can really pay attention to what you're trying to do, what runs you're trying to create. Spotter game has picked up in the last decade. It is so critical at places like Daytona and Talladega. Coleman Presley, Robert Presley's son, Coleman actually raced as a driver. That's pretty critical, I think, in the spotter game to have some driving experience. Drove for Junior Motorsports in Xfinity Series once.
saw that move by the Fords. They jumped up in the outside lane. That gave everybody on the bottom the signal, you better start looking to get to the top. If they're going to run that top lane and drag everybody up there, you better find a way to get there.
Things are about ready to pick up as 9 laps to go in stage 1. You're not going to miss a thing. We're staying here, NASCAR nonstop.
Out there together.
NASCAR Drive, that is your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with the high-definition in-car cameras. Just visit NASCAR.com/drive. And now we're seeing a single line pulling away.
Yeah, but look who's in that outside line. The 1 car of Annette, the 20 of Harrison Burton, the 10 of Chastain. All 3 of those guys right now are below the cut line. They all need to be aware of that, work together, and try to find their way toward the front of this field, toward the end of the stage. Those are the 3 cars that need these points more than anyone else in the screen.
Yeah, the line moved to the top. It looked like those Fords were going to drag everybody to the top. Chastain, Annette, and Burton all fought really hard to get to the top to make sure they were there, and then it went to the bottom. So now they're just fighting hard. They need a couple more cars to slide up in front of them, and they'll be okay.
4 cars on that outside line, and things aren't looking good right now. They don't have a lot of help, and they're not working together. Down on pit road right now as we see Annette dive down into that bottom line. On pit road is Steve Letarte.
Well, Rick, that's what I'm trying to figure out is what options do these drivers have if they're stuck in a line where they won't be able to get stage points. One option is the crew chief can pull your car into pit road, coming to 2 laps to go. This is a track where you can put 4 tires of fuel. You won't lose a lap. You know the end of the stage is coming. That will give you your track position back. The only concern to that strategy is you're guaranteed not to get stage points. So it'd be hard for a playoff car to do it, but maybe an Allmendinger, maybe a Brett Moffitt, maybe someone not in the playoffs could gamble to try to work their way to the front.
All right, now on that outside line, Chastain has his teammate, A.J. Allmendinger, the 9 car back there. The 8 car in front of him, the 1 car in front of him, starting to form a few more cars that are desperate to get to the lead here, to the front of this pack in that outside line.
If you could slide up in front of them right now, it'd be a good idea if you could get there.
Oh, the 9 car drops out of this pack, and
Harrison jumped up in front of that 1 car, trying to be the leader of that outside lane.
Emmerich's going to take the 1-3 wide. They just can't get organized to try to find their way toward the front, and that's gonna cost them. 3 to go. We're desperate times for a few of these guys right now.
Yeah, see the last car on that inside lane. He's got to be watching to decide if he wants to jump up in front of that group. Kelly, what do you have on the 16 car?
Well, we're always talking about these game plans and teams working together, but for Colleague Racing, that meant getting A.J. Allmendinger in that number 16 car all the way from the back up to the front. Remember, he lined up 36 because he's only a part-time driver. You see him now behind his teammate Ross Chastain. I asked A.J. how he gets it done because his teammates don't know. They said all of a sudden we'll look up in a rearview mirror. There he is. And A.J. said it's just these fast cars that we have. But he admitted that come Daytona a few weeks ago, his job was getting a lot more difficult. He said all the other guys in the mid-pack know that once the 3 Colleague drivers hook up, we are pretty much unstoppable. So they've made life difficult on AJ. At least 2 Colleague racing cars together now. There's the 3rd one, the 11, and next to him you see that bright yellow 19 car of Brandon Jones. What a job he has done. Remember, we saw him literally running to his car, was late to driver start your engines. His crew chief, Jeff Mendry, said, I guess he just didn't realize he knew what time he had to be at the car. But guys, I think Junior said it was his worst nightmare come true. How do you kind of get yourself under control? You've missed all your pre-race rituals. You hop in the car, and oh, by the way, it's playoffs and it's Talladega.
Lots of shuffling around right now. Final lap of the stage. Who can steal a few spots here? Harrison Burton right there, 3 wide on the outside with his teammate Riley on the high side here. Guys making some ground up.
Never before has racing been this intense with this many laps to go in the race, but these points are huge.
Jeff, you said it, 3 races inside of this race. This is coming up on the end of the first race, which is stage 1. Briscoe has been able to stay out front. He's been able to hold on to that top spot. Right behind him has been the 22 of Austin Cindric. Everyone else fighting for points behind him. As they come to the end of stage 1, it's going to be Briscoe winning. 4 wide as they cross the stripe.
Harrison Burton was able to get 8th for a couple of points there.
Sieg also up there. He finished 7th.
Chastain and Annette. Gregson. No points for those guys outside the top 10.
Yeah, all the way Brown, Chastain, Gregson, Annette. None of those drivers were able to gain any points. Chase Briscoe, he won the last race. He wins stage 1. He's got it going on here at Talladega. Looking very dominant today. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Perfect for race fans. And pit stops are underway at the end of stage 1. Kelly.
And that bright yellow 19 driven by Brandon Jones. Brandon said his car is really dicey in traffic and he's snug in the corner. He also said the air is lifting up the left rear too much. Too Goodyear tires, Marty.
Austin Cindric in the middle of your screen, left side tires as well. Chase Briscoe going left sides also. Cindric said I'm having trouble keeping the car on the bottom of the racetrack. It's too tight. And meanwhile, Chase Briscoe said his car was a little bit too tight as well, but don't do too much to it. A lot of two-tire stops here on pit road, as you can see, Rick.
Yes, and you see a lot of people able to gain some spots there. Harrison Burton, 5 spots. Chastain, 4 on pit road.
Bad for this little girl.
I know we tell you all the time that racing at Talladega can be unpredictable and wild. Just look at an example of how. This was the Xfinity Series race 2002. So we know just about anything can and often does happen at Talladega. Stage 1 complete for this afternoon's race. Here you see stage points earned. And Brad, maybe the only thing moving faster than that stage was Brandon Jones running to his car. But look at, he scores 8 points. He almost missed the start of the race.
Yeah, big move for Brandon Jones, and great job getting those stage points. You know, you look at this first stage, it's all about, it's like a practice session. You're trying to figure out what type of race car you have so you can prepare to move forward in the second stage and possibly win the race. But great job by Brandon Jones. Rest of these guys, though, they got to catch Chase Briscoe, man. It's impressive.
Another great few laps by Ryan Sieg. Once again, in a stage, he scores points. He is on a mission to get those stage points and move on to the next round.
So again, these are short stages. The drivers, the playoff drivers who did not score stage points in that first stage, they have to move, and they have to move quickly. Guys like Noah Gragson, Ross Chastain trying to get himself above the cut line, trying to advance and keep his playoff hopes alive. Racing at Talladega, we're getting ready for stage 2. Let's take you back to Talladega.
Stage 2 back underway, and up through the gears they go. Briscoe goes down to block that inside line. They mentioned it. Brandon Jones, remember, he wasn't even in his car when they fired the engines, and a good finish for him in Stage 1. How about Harrison Burton? He's moved up to the 3rd spot after a great pit stop by their crew. Got him back out in good position. And Sieg also needing points. A good finish in Stage 1 for Ryan Sieg.
Big run from the inside here. The 3 Gibbs cars all teamed up. They're going to get to that quarter panel of the 98. Almost clear for the lead, not quite. A lot of side drafting going on there. Keep those cars side by side. That's Ford versus Toyota.
Joe Gibbs Racing cars lined up on the inside, the 19, the 20, and the 18. Can they work together against only 2 Fords in the field, the 98 and the 22, trying to fight on the outside line?
We know how committed these 2 Fords are to staying together. It's worked for them so far this race. They've been in the front the entire time. Now the Toyotas are lined up together. It's been since 2014. Elliott Sadler won the last race for Joe Gibbs Racing in a Toyota. So these guys trying to get a win. It's been difficult on plate racing for them.
How about the 21 back there, the 4th car back on the high line, Anthony Alfredo, guy who finished 6th here earlier this year, now fighting again, doesn't make all the starts in the Xfinity Series.
He is a wild card, right? He's one of the few guys that'll be up here in the top 10 the whole race that is not part of the playoff race, and he can do anything and everything he wants. He's not tied to any car, any teammate. He might help that 39 car a little bit. I think they do a little work with RCR, but for the most part, he can race this race however he likes. No RCR cars in the playoffs. That frees him up. And I think, too, his inexperience. You know, he may very well become a great race car driver, a great plate racer down the road, but his inexperience and his eagerness makes these guys a little nervous, I'm sure.
This outside lane is formed up. They've really got the Toyotas. Alfredo jumped to the bottom, but look at that outside lane. All those Chevrolets led by 2 Fords. Outside's the place to go right now if you can get there.
Well, that's my question, Jeff. As I watch this race, you keep mentioning only 2 Fords, but is it perhaps just easier? With only 2 of you, while you don't have the raw speed of 4 or 5 cars, they've done a great job of managing that track position, and you only have to worry about taking care of 1 other car.
I think that's
Look at this 21-year-old Anthony Alfredo. Well, he's being aggressive.
He dove to the inside, which was a big mistake because I thought he was going to get hung out. But then Chastain went down there to help him and push him clear into 3rd place. Now Chastain's the car on the inside who needs a little help as he's fading back. Cars are starting to go to the inside as they get runs, but then others are bailing on that inside line, as you see there.
And that's the question, just how many cars are going to end up down there? You can see as many guys. Oh, Hemrick squeezed in front of Sieg. Sieg hung a left. Will that work out for Ryan Sieg?
Man, there's a lot of cars in that outside line. And I just have a feeling that it's a matter of time before everyone's up there. You don't want to be one of these guys that can't find his place. It's kind of like musical chairs.
It happened in the spring race, and I think all those drivers watched that, and they saw the line forming. Think about, you mentioned it, the inexperience from that first car on the inside. Anthony Alfredo does not have as much experience. Trying to make an aggressive move, but is the outside lane just going to pile up on him and just put him at such a disadvantage?
Yeah, look how aggressively he's trying to side draft and stall out that car on the outside. These 3 guys on the inside now, the 21, the 39, the 1, in big trouble trying to find a gap in that outside line, Marty.
Alfredo trying to get that bottom line to work. He has Ryan Sieg kind of in tow there. Now, a couple of weeks ago at Daytona, the last race of the regular season for the Cup Series, 1 race before the playoffs started for the Xfinity Series, the 21 team, they were not included in the college racing drafting plan. Well, today they are. So Alfredo, in theory, has a couple of extra cars to work with out there in the 10, the 11, and the 16. They got him up front, but Alfredo trying to make that bottom line work while all those other college cars are up top, Kelly.
Time for our Toyota driver update, and all 3 Toyotas from Joe Gibbs Racing have been able to get in line nose to tail, and they have moved up to that outside line. When I talked to Harrison Burton, driver of the number 20 car, he told me although they were able to work really well together at Daytona, he said the cars didn't really work that well together. He said they had a hard time pushing each other, a hard time getting to each other's bumpers, but he was hopeful cooler temperatures and a different racetrack would help them out today. We saw them running the inside line, but guys, they had to move up top
Things happening fast once again here at Talladega. Just 15 laps to go in stage 2 already. And it's still the 98 of Briscoe out front. Tomorrow, Sunday Night Football on NBC. Carson Wentz and the Eagles are going to face George Kittle and the 49ers. That coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America. Teams working together, or teammates working together on the football field. Right now, we've got teammates of manufacturers trying to work together. You've got Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric, both Ford drivers, running up front of this field as they're all in line now. Kelly.
A little bit further back, you'll find the #1 of Michael Annett. Annett, a former race winner on a super speedway. That came at Daytona a couple of years ago, and his crew chief, Travis Macklin, told me that's exactly what they're going to have to do here today, win, if they want to be in the round of 8. He said, I don't really like our chances next week at the Roval, so today is the day. But he also told me they plan to get up front and win stage 1 and stage 2. Well, Michael finished 13th in stage 1. He's not in position now to get any points in stage 2. So this team's going to have a big turnaround and find a way to the front to win this race, Marty, and move on to the round 2 of the playoffs.
Kelly, before the playoffs started, Ryan Sieg told me we have to get stage points. That's something we haven't done a very good job of this year, and they have done it here in the playoffs. If you take the Vegas race and the first stage here, that is 19 stage points that Ryan Sieg has collected in the 2020 playoffs. Right now, he is sitting in the 13th position as he tries to make his way back up to the front. Actually now in the 12th position. Further up front is Noah Gragson sitting in 6th and already thinking with 10 to go in the stage about making a run. Take a listen to the radio.
Well, the 8, the 7. Let's go to the bottom here in a few. 10-4 will pass that along. Dave, you going to pass that along? No, I mean, they don't want to work with anybody. So why would I pass that along?
Since then, Dave Ellens has come back on the radio and said, hey, listen, Noah, the 10 is not going to work with you. Just work with your teammates. Focus on that. 10 to go here in stage 2.
Yeah, coming up on 9 to go. Okay, drivers, what is the right time and who is the right driver to make the move? Because they're not all going to stay in line when we come to the end of the stage.
I think it's two different types of guys that'll make that move. The guy that's impatient, inexperienced, the guy that doesn't know any better is going to make that move, or the guy that's confident. The guy that's like, hey, I'm out here and I can win this race. I'm the best plate racer out here. I know exactly what I'm doing and what I need to do. Those are the two guys that are going to drop out of something like this, some organization like this.
Okay, put a name to that then.
All right. I think the 9 car, listening to him on the radio, he sounds ready and patient. He sounds like he wants to be the first guy to make the move. When he sees some people that might be buying into what he's trying to do, I think that he might force it early. The 19. Oh,
around goes the 18. Sliding toward the inside wall, hard on the driver's side door.
Not a good deal for this team here. Riley came into here below the cut line.
Here, get your breath back.
Hard impact.
Bring it straight to yourself.
That's a hard impact with the driver's side flat against the wall.
It's all left side stuff.
I think we got a broke track bar.
Yeah, so much damage right there. That's going to be hard to recover from that. You mentioned it, Junior. The ground to make up anyway. There's a little bit of contact coming off turn 4. You can see he's on the bottom. Can't make out who that is. Just goes up and tries to side draft him.
Hill.
Yeah, I mean, just runs into him. It's just trying to side draft, trying to slow that line down. Austin Hill just trying to make something happen there.
Those are the guys that I was talking about with Anthony in the 21. Austin Hill's another guy. Nothing to lose. Out there racing for himself. No points, playoff battle to be a part of or anything like that to worry about. I wrote a list of drivers down that are in that boat, and he was one of them that can go out there and race their own race. And those are the guys that are going to mix up what happens here today. They're going to create these dramas for the playoff guys.
Marty.
Yeah, Rick, Austin Hill, actually a Toyota corporate teammate, was supposed to be helping the Joe Gibbs Racing cars there. So I think a little miscommunication as Austin came up and Riley Herbst came down. Dave Rogers is concerned they might have a broken track bar. You heard that radio a moment ago. The left side of this car is absolutely damaged, especially the left front. So Rogers telling the team, hey, let's go see if we can make a couple of laps. We'll see if we can make it work, but I don't see this car even maybe meeting minimum speed. Let's see all that left front damage as they kind of peer inside to figure out if there is any suspension damage. But again, they're worried they might have a broken track bar.
It was a big hit. Austin Hill got to the inside of that 18 of Riley Herbst. Then Herbst into the inside safer barrier. The official app of NASCAR delivers an all-new AR racing experience. For the playoffs, you customize your car and compete head-to-head against Cup Series playoff drivers to earn points. Search NASCAR in your app store and download for free to start playing today. It's getting close to the end of Stage 2 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs Ag Pro 300. A few pit stops took place. Marty?
Yeah, currently 6 to go here in Stage 2, Rick, and one of those, Noah Gragson, Dave Ellens behind me, making the call to bring Gragson down pit road. They were running in the top 10, but towards the back half of the top 10, so Ellens said, hey, this is our shot. Come get tires right here. They took on 4 fresh tires, actually right side tires, I should say, and at the break here, when we're coming up at Stage 2, Kelly, they will not pit.
Marty, among the handful of drivers who took the opportunity to come to pit road, the one of Michael Annett, but unlike Noah Gragson, he was outside of the top 10 and did not look like he was in position to pick up any stage points. So Travis Mack called them to pit road. They took 4 Goodyear tires. And so, Steve, a little bit of split strategy here. How do you like these calls?
Split strategy, Kelly, and I love these calls because from here, every car can make it on one more stop. So the guys that haven't pitted, they're going to have to pit here in 5 laps at the end of the stage. Noah Gragson, Michael Annett, they've already made that pit stop. They're going to get track position back. And I'm a believer that they're going to get back to where they were running right inside or right outside of the top 10 without problem with 4 laps to go. I actually think the new tires and some aggression coming from the back, they can actually improve their position. Love this pit call both from the 1 and the 9.
And as Steve mentioned, they're only going to have to make one more stop. So they'll stay out at the end of the stage break. Everyone else will have to come at the end of the stage break and then come again in the middle of Stage 3.
Yeah, I think that decision was a little bit harder for Ryan Sieg, Harrison Burton, Brandon Jones, Ross Chastain. They all need points, and they were going to have to give up track position with only 4 laps to go in this stage, and they were just afraid to do it. You can see where the 9 car is. He's behind that purple car, the Bass Pro Shop car, toward the back of the pack. Look at the track position that he gave up. Let's see if he can get it back. I agree with Steve. I think that they can get it back. The key is you have to go through all this stuff, which exposes yourself to perhaps a little more danger, but he's only 5 rows, 6 rows further back than he would have been had he stayed out.
Yeah, I think this is I mean, it's pretty easy to drive through the field. It's hard to take the lead, though. This is a play to later in the race sort of cycle in front of the 98 due to pit stops. They're hoping that's how that's going to work out.
I'll go one more. I think the 9 and the 1 will outrun the 20 and those guys that stayed on the racetrack. I think they'll have the momentum coming from the back.
We'll see if that happens. And again, this will be the end of the second race. We mentioned it's really going to be broken down into 3 races today. Chase Briscoe, by the way, the guy hasn't lost anything since Stage 2 at Bristol. He has been a dominant performer. Let's see how he does with 4 laps to go at the end of Stage 2.
Oh, the 10's getting spun into the outside wall.
And then he gets tagged as well. Right as they're coming up to speed, the caution comes out. Ross Chastain got spun coming up through the gears.
All right, guys, a lot of damage here. Ross, let us know when you can.
Saw they all got stacked up trying to get restarted.
And you see the damage to the 15 as well. So Colby Howard, the 19-year-old from South Carolina, the front end damage to that. Ross Chastain shaking his head, can't believe it.
So you can see
a little bit late here, but it looks like obviously probably some contact from behind, but we don't know how it started. There was a big checkup and an accordion. Looks like there was a big accordion affecting that outside line either before. Here we go. So watch the 20 car. The 10 rolls up on the 8, has to lift.
Yeah, the 20 gets into the 10, the 39 gets into the 20. Oh gosh.
You saw the big hit there. The 20 of Harrison Burton got into the back of the 10.
Ready.
Oh man.
Green flag.
Lifted the wheels right off the ground.
Hold the brake.
Contact. It was just like everybody in the back was going and the front wasn't going.
You see right here the
20 kind of gets pushed in. I mean, there's 3 or 4 cars there behind the 20 kind of running in the back of him, shoving him into the 10 car. So just a big accordion effect. And Ross is...
They're going to red flag it right here.
They're going to red flag. He's going to stop right here. He's got pretty bad damage. It'd be interesting to see what kind of suspension damage is done to this 10 car. Otherwise, the body damage to me doesn't look too significant.
Surprising here, this is the end of the stage, and they're going to red flag it so that we can make sure to have, I'm guessing, a green flag finish to the stage. Kelly?
So Ross Chastain did make his way down to pit road, stopped wrong way around, and as his crew chief was able to assess the damage, obviously heavy on the right side, but they felt like it was really just cosmetic. They worked to pull some of the fenders out, although he might still have a tire rub once they get going again. But he said it doesn't look like there are any broken parts or pieces that need repairing. We'll have to see if that's the end of it, or once they get moving again, if they're going to feel like they have to bring him down to pit road. But they sounded optimistic that it was basically cosmetic, at least initially here on the 10 car.
Yeah, see this contact when he spins down. So here we go. They're all trying to time this restart. Right, the 39 into the back of the 20, the 20 back into the back of the 10. And this contact right there. Now, as he turns around, it looks like the impact was into the door. It doesn't look like it hit the wheels. If that's the case, then the report Kelly was giving us is correct. It could be body damage, nothing having to do with the tires. Now, damage on the 20, you can see the hood is separated from the nose on the 20. The nose is pushed back. They'll have, Steve, I don't know if you can see that or not, but what do? You're going to restart with 1 or 2 laps to go. I think you got to keep that car on the track, don't you?
I would take this opportunity to fix it. We didn't see a lot of cautions in that second stage. You can't assume that there's not more damage. I would rather bring the 20 car down pit road, make sure your ductwork is sealed, make sure that the hood is taped down. While I know stage points are vital, the most important thing is to have a car to race into the final stage of this race. So as much as I would love to leave my car on the racetrack, I would probably opt for safety, bring the car down pit road, and just make sure we're buttoned up. I know it's going to sting in the points category, but you just don't know. You can see the obvious damage between the nose and the hood. The question is the radiator still intact? Do you have any sort of other damage? As we sit and look at Ross Chastain sitting here, Jeff, I had the same opinion as you, right? What luck they had to get hit right between the tires.
He slid off track. And remember, Ross Chastain didn't get any points in stage 1. Doesn't look like he'll get any in stage 2 either.
What happened there? Trying to anticipate anything that go in your favor at Talladega is naive.
You know something's going to happen. You just hope that you're able to miss that and give yourself a chance at the end.
The big one has broken out at Talladega.
And again, working right now on pit road. They are cleaning up the racetrack. Census takers are in your neighborhood. So if the future of healthcare or education matters to you and your kids, answer the census takers' simple question. The 2020 census is coming to a close. If you haven't been counted yet, your voice will be missing for the next decade. Billions in federal funds will be spent based on who gets counted. You can still respond and help to shape the future by saying hello to your friendly census taker, or go to 2020census.gov today. Again, under a red flag condition. While we're under a red flag condition, let's dial up the driver of the 98.
Hey, Ross, it's guys up in NBCSN booth. You with us?
I'm on a 48. So.
Oh, sorry about that. We stepped on top of them. We'll let them have their conversation. All right, let's check in with Chase again. Hey, Chase, it's Burton. You got us? All right, we're going to try it one more time. Hey, Chase, it's Burton. You with us?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
Oh, you and your buddy, Austin Cindric, if you control this race so far, you going to be able to do that the rest of the race?
We're certainly going to try. I feel bad for him. He's been back there swatting flies. His job's been a lot harder than mine is, just trying to cover those runs. You know, by the time it gets to me, it's normally broke up enough. So he's been doing a great job. I'm proud of how both of us Fords have been able to kind of control this race with only the two of us. Problem is, it's only going to get harder as we get to the end. You know, runs are going to get bigger, and you know, it's going to be harder. So, you know, done a good job so far. Just need to keep trying to do that, and you know, it all comes down to the second stage. I think at the end is going to be a good, you know, practice for the end of the race.
All right, without giving any secrets, how are you doing this? So what skill does it take to try to keep him lined up and keep him behind you?
Honestly, iRacing is probably the one thing I've done more than anything. Is after talking to Dale and just talking about how to be aggressive, I'll just get on iRacing and, you know, try stuff that, you know, I wouldn't probably try for the first time in real life just because it obviously would hurt. And I just tried on iRacing. It's a lot cheaper, hurts a lot less, and, you know, if it works, then I know I can normally at least try that in real life. As crazy as that sounds, I feel like iRacing is, at least at Daytona and Talladega, has helped me more than anything just because I can really try to get aggressive, and, you know, if it doesn't work out, then, you know, I just reset and try again. But I feel like that's been, honestly, the biggest thing that's helped me just get better at these plate races.
Well, that's really interesting. Well, we appreciate you taking time, man. I know these red flags are tough. You're trying to keep your mind focused. We appreciate it. You just taking a few minutes and spending with us.
No problem. Thank you.
Let's take a look at another replay to see how this all started. Watch the 02 car here, Brett Moffitt and Ryan Sieg. 02 car gets in the back of the 39 and pushes him into the 20 of Harrison Burton, which then makes contact with the 10. That's all it takes to turn that 10 car sideways into the outside wall.
Watch this contact right here. So right in the door. Don't see any contact with that right front tire. Maybe they'll be okay. We've seen cars win this race before, completely destroyed.
The only trouble for Ross now is he won't finish in the top 10 in this stage. Another opportunity missed in this race for gathering points throughout the event. I think it's questionable as to what kind of damage he has. We'll learn that quickly once we get back up to speed. He'll have one lap to assess the car, and there'll be a stage break to work on it even more.
Well, Junior, you talked about the fact that Ryan Sieg was able to gain some points in stage one. Let's listen into his radio as he sits under this red flag condition.
22.98, because they were doing whatever the hell they were doing the last restart. Because they checked up, I thought they were going to go, and then they checked out, kind of like they did right there.
What the 98, what he's doing is he's waiting on the guy behind him to hit him to go. Not working out real well.
Yeah, there are not a lot of drivers talking about that. And Dale Jr., you can talk about this. So they've talked about how Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric are kind of controlling the pace of the race, right? And Jeff asked, well, how do you do that? Well, number one, you have to make sure that you're lined up nose to tail. So they've kind of orchestrated all of these restarts. And you've noticed how the 98 was out a little bit further than Austin Cindric. That was by design. They were going to try and drop in right behind him. So that was a little bit slower restart than a lot of people in the field thought it maybe should have been, Kelly.
Cars are getting ready to roll here again, Marty, and I can tell you that the damage for the number 10 of Ross Chastain is worse than initially thought. I've been told by Chris Rice, the team president, that there is a broken lower control arm. So they are definitely going to have more work to do here on pit road, and the crew is ready to do it.
See a ton of smoke pouring out of the 7 car. They try to fire that car. We'll have to keep a look at that and see what's going on with Justin Steve.
Well, there's another thing to keep in mind, Dale, as you mentioned the damage to the 10 car, that lower control arm they're going to have to repair. This is a track where NASCAR does allow teams to add components back on the race car, but only a rear tail. So Ross Chastain's team's been nice enough to let me borrow their parts and pieces. This rear tail, and this is actually an extension that goes down below the tail. These are required to make laps here at Talladega. For that reason, NASCAR will allow you to put brand new components off if in perhaps more wrecks that I see coming in this final stage, you can make this type of repair. But these are the only parts you can add new. So when you look at the damage on the 10 car, that right front fender damage, the side damage, that sheet metal is going to have to stay stock, but it sounds like perhaps they have suspension issues that'll be a bigger issue than the sheet metal.
All right, so the 7 fired up, and we saw the smoke rolling out of the exhaust. Is there a reason for this because of the way it was sitting right here on the banking?
Man, I have no idea. I mean, it all looks like steam to me, but no telling.
It quickly goes away.
Yeah.
When it first fired up, I thought, my goodness, he's got a major problem, but
I'm interested.
Honestly, guys, I'd be looking at the engine guys asking them the same question right now if I was a crew chief. Yeah. Like, hey, should we be worried about that, or are we okay?
I mean, it's not smoking anymore, so I would act like it didn't happen.
That's what I did with most of our engine issues. Just act like they're going to go away.
You see Chastain there on the bottom of the racetrack. If the right front A-frame is damaged, that's a major change.
Look where the steering wheel is. I know he's in the corner.
Oh, Jeff, you got to ask yourself if it's
obviously a lot of right front.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, if it's a lower control arm damage at the end of the day, they were in the accident. If they have to go to the garage for any sort of repair, that'll end their day. Doesn't matter how long the change is.
Yeah, well, looking at the car, I believe he's straight coming toward pit road, and the steering wheel is not straight. That orange sort of tape across the top of the steering wheel should be centered. And you see him turn to the left a little bit, so there's some suspension damage. But I'm surprised if it's a broken lower. That thing would be a little bit out of control with that right front, Steve.
Well, I'm going to jump down here in their pit stall, try to see. It's a little bit hard because it's on the right front. But I think the goal for the 10 car is it good enough to make minimum speed? Remember, once you're up to minimum speed, the clock erases and you can do any repair possible. It seems like they're working very heavily on the splitter, trying to get that down. A couple guys underneath the right side. We'll see what kind of situation. The splitter obviously does not want to move down, but if they feel like they're working on the sheet metal at all, that tells me that they feel okay about the suspension damage.
One man's underneath looking at it, trying to assess what the damage is.
And remember, they're on a clock right now. So there's a clock that starts, and they are doing all these repairs, and the goal is to get to minimum speed. They have to be able to run a lap at minimum speed. Well, there probably isn't going to be enough time in stage 2 to hit that minimum speed. So anytime they come back to pit road, it counts on that clock.
Not remaining.
That's a great point, Rick. If they take the green with 1 lap to go, that lap will not get to minimum speed. It won't erase that clock. That's why I think they're wise to spend as much time as they can right here. You see the mechanic underneath with a couple wrenches in hand. Looks to me like he's working maybe on the steering components of that car. Even if you lose a lap here, you have to get the car repaired enough, because you said it, Rick, you're not going to have another time. That clock you talk about is total time on pit road. From when you enter to when you exit, you have 6 minutes, which seems like a lot, but I can tell you the sand runs through that hourglass quick.
Getting close.
And they are coming to green, so right now they're Putting the right front tire back on. They're going to try to get him back out there so that he'll probably be up to speed by the time he gets to the start-finish line, because they'll already be coming through, but he's not going to have anybody to push him. Marty.
Hey, Rick, getting ready to come green. Justin Allgaier just commented, we saw that smoke come out of the car when he fired up. He just told Jason Burdett, his crew chief, he said, I'm a little concerned because the water temperature keeps bumping up and down. He said it was at 170 when he was sitting under the red. Now it's at 230, and then it goes back down arbitrarily. So a little concern after that smoke we saw when it fired up on the 7 car.
The concern for that, for me, is where the sending unit is for that water, right? If the water gets low, then the sender's actually not in the water, and it shows slows water temperature that's low because it's not measuring water. So you have to wonder if somehow or another the water's gotten out of the engine.
It's a one lap sprint to the end of stage 2. Let's see how it goes this time. The 98 back into the gas. Pulling away on this final lap of stage 2.
He's going to pull down. He's going to wait for the last minute. Now pull down in front of his teammate. There you go. So now advantage to that inside line. Not a lot of cars formed on the outside line yet. Here comes Noah Gragson at the very end of that line.
The 22 is going to have a big run here. Will he stay true to that 98 and push him? No, he's going to try to make a move here.
Quick half back in line.
Actually decides against that, stays behind him and pushes him away.
Look at that third lane. There's that Noah Gragson that came pitted just a little while ago. He's on those tires.
It's the last chance to get points before the end of the race. Chase Briscoe trying to sweep the stages once again. The 22 up above him. He wiggles as they come through the tri-oval. All the way to the finish line. Briscoe wins stage 2. Austin Cindric finishes second. Hemrick, Haley, and Allgaier in the top 5. Chase Briscoe started the season saying he thought it would take 8 wins in 2020 for him to be looked at as a potential for a cup ride. Well, he's already got 8 wins, and he's won 2 stages here at Talladega. Can he win the race? Stay with us. Crank up the volume this NASCAR playoffs with the chance to win a 2021 Toyota GR Supra 3.0 Premium. And plus, you get access to music playlists curated by your favorite Toyota NASCAR Cup Series drivers. Get started at NASCAR.com/Toyota Playoffs. In the playoffs for the Xfinity Series, this is the second race of the playoffs. Chase Briscoe won the first race, which was Las Vegas a week ago. He won the race prior to starting of the playoffs at Bristol. So he is right now on a 2-race win streak, looking to make it 3. Won both stages last week, and that's the first time he's ever done that, where he has swept both stages, and then he went on to win the race. So when you talk about momentum and a guy, you know, having it at the start of the playoffs, Chase Briscoe is doing this textbook like. Field now coming to pit road, and Kelly, they're going to come to you first.
Justin Haley finished 4th in both Stage 1 and Stage 2, picking up 14 stage points. They told him not to slide the tires, so I suspect they're only going to put 2 on for the 11, Marty.
Crew Chief Brian Wilson asked Austin Cindric, how's the car? Cindric said, pretty good, no changes to it. They're going to stick with their plan. Right side tires here, Goodyear tires, and no adjustment. Same thing for Chase Briscoe, right side tires. He actually asked Richard Boswell, as crew chief, can you tighten me up a little bit? I think this might be our last shot to make a real adjustment. And how about Noah Gragson? No tires on that stop rig. He gains 9 spots.
And remember the 9 and the 1, they came to pit road a little bit before the end of stage 2, so topping off with fuel, didn't have to do tires.
If you think today's race has been wild, wait till tomorrow on NBC. The NASCAR Cup Series playoffs continue from Talladega. Race coverage at 2 p.m. Eastern, pre-race at 1 o'clock. Again, everyone racing for their playoff lives. Brandon Brown and Noah Gragson today able to squeeze out a couple of stage points in that last stage after not scoring any in the first stage. But so far, Kyle, it has been all Chase Briscoe today.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Briscoe has done a phenomenal job of studying tape and controlling this race. He never lets the race out of his control, whether it's on the restarts, whether it's stopping the flow of the inside line, moving to the outside. He has done a great job. Now, having said that, these are stage wins. This is not for the big win, and when we get down to the big win, it's going to get a little bit more intense.
Yeah, I agree. And for Ross Chastain, man, under ordinary circumstances, I would be saying, boy, his season is likely over as far as the playoffs are concerned. But this is Talladega. It's extraordinary. Anything can happen. He still has an opportunity. He still has a chance because the big one hasn't happened yet.
All right, let's go to Marty Snyder with an update on another playoff driver, Marty.
Chris, there's some growing concern for Justin Allgaier. He came back down pit road. They actually jacked it up on the left side of the 7 car, put it up on jack stands, because when they left their stall after that most recent pit stop, there was fluid on the ground. Remember, we saw that car fire up. We thought that might have been steam coming from the tailpipes, and they are getting worried that that might be a bigger issue. Jason Burdett on top of the pit box trying to evaluate what happened. And to add to all of that, Rick, they got a penalty for too many men over the wall on that pit stop. So some things unraveling here for the 17.
You can't have that in the playoffs. We've talked many times about making mistakes and being mistake-free if you want to advance to the next round.
When I think about it, we've had Ross Chastain with an issue. We're now the 7 car, Riley Herbst with an issue. The 20 of Harrison Burton, he's got nose damage. All those guys are playoff contenders. Yeah. All have damage.
Looking at the 7 car, we saw steam. We know the water temp is fluctuating, telling you that there's not enough water in the block. But there's also a dirty tailpiece, which is some other fluid involved in this process. He may have an engine issue. It may get worse.
Kelly.
Riley Herbst has now been released from the infield care center. Glad to see you're okay. I know these things unfold so quickly here, and we'll get a replay here in a second, but what did you feel and see from inside your cockpit?
Yeah, it just sucks. This is the fastest Toyota Supra I've ever had on a super speedway, so I was really excited for that. Thank you everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing. It just sucks when a Truck Series guys comes in here and they have fun. I'm really good friends with Austin, so I just hate to see that, but man, if I went to the Truck Series and wrecked his playoff hopes, I feel like he'd be upset with me. So I'm a little upset. We're not out of it yet. It's going to be tough at the Roval, but we'll see what we got with Monster Energy.
A frustrated Riley Herbst out here, guys.
Yeah, Riley mentioned.
Jeff, you mentioned. Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Go, Steve. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to mention his teammate Harrison Burton. You discussed the damage to the nose. I watched the repair. It doesn't look like anything that's going to hurt his chances speed-wise, but I'm going to have to be very, very careful pushing a lot of nose in that bumper. You drivers know how much that can catch the car in front of you.
Yeah, he's basically got a shovel in front of that car now. Anytime he tries to push anybody, he probably will pick the rear tires up off the ground, make them very loose. His pushing won't be very effective.
Back up through the gears, and the final stage is underway. See the 16, A.J. Allmendinger up front. A little track position game here for that team.
Jimmy Hill as well in that 66 car.
Jimmy Hill, he normally gets engines from Joe Gibbs Racing for these plate races, so he should have some good steam.
Steam's on the outside right now, though, Jeff. 9 cars going to push A.J. Allmendinger down the back straightaway. A lot of organization in the outside line.
Way in the back of that line is a green and white car, Ross Chastain. We thought he may be in big trouble with that lower control arm, but he looks like he's moving pretty good.
Now, if I'm Noah and the 1, the 8, you got your teammates, I get a run on AJ, I'm leaving him out there. I'm pulling low and I'm going around him. We'll see if these guys stay organized and if they work with each other.
And also, will this upper lane, look how quickly this upper lane is gathered together on this run versus the other ones.
Now, these Fords have dominated this race. Chase Briscoe has been up front virtually every lap. Is it a great move to jump in front of them so that they can't come up there and be?
They're not going anywhere. They're down there by themselves on the bottom. Look at everybody bailing on this bottom line, and they're stuck trying to find a hole to get in the high side. I know we
one is lined up on the top.
Yeah,
the bottom lane is 10 or 12 back.
They're telling how far back they're going to go, but they're dying to find a hole up there. Stop this. And I know we don't love watching these cars run around the top of the racetrack, but if you're leading it, you love it because you basically have the whole field following you. You don't have to worry about runs. You don't have to worry about blocking. You don't have to worry about losing the lead. Anything happening, really.
Now let's see if these guys can find, if one of them can find a hole, then they'll try to slow it down and make one for everybody else. Still on the bottom, nowhere to go just yet.
And nobody's letting him in. You mentioned find a hole. Nobody's going to give him an opportunity.
I wouldn't let them in. They've led the whole race. Like, you know what I mean? Why help somebody with a fast race car?
Maybe they'll help you later.
They won't. They tell you they will, but they won't.
Yeah.
Now, some people behind them, I think that's Chastain. I think he went to the bottom.
Oh, he tried to get in a hole right there.
All right,
so 22, let's just get him a big lap in for fastest lap.
You heard that? So what that is trying to figure out if they can get a fast lap, because part of the qualifying lineup has to do with the fastest lap run in a race. So if they can lay back a little bit and get a big run, then that would go into the account in regard to where they start next week.
You get a clear spot, I'll let you know here.
There you see on the outside of the 22, the 10-car Ross Chastain up to speed in the draft. It appears that they have all 4 tires on that car heading in the right direction. He may still have a chance to get up there and win this race.
Seeing a little bit of help now behind those 2 Fords. It looked like the 7. Yeah, sure enough, Justin Allgaier has dove down to the bottom, and he has now made it a 3-car lower lane.
What's going to happen is the guys on the bottom are going to get, they're just not going to have as much speed down the straights. In the corners, they'll be able to go actually a little bit faster, but they're going to lose everything they gain. See this right here? A little bit more speed in the corner because they're just taking the shortest way around the racetrack. But then when they get to the straight, they're going to lose all of it.
As they're running side by side, they're kind of taking a little bit of the momentum out of the cars in front of them, and they're creating a little bit of a break at times between this lead draft.
So while we're watching this bottom line, Allmendinger is still leading up front, that high line. Noah Gregson's up there, Mike Lynette is up there. So now you have Gregson and Annette up top. We know everyone has to come some point in time in this stage because you can't go all the way on fuel. So when do you start strategizing that?
I'm more worried about trying to get my car into the lead. If I'm running in that top 5, I know that we're riding on this high line and we're saving ourselves for the end of the race, but it's so hard to take the lead from these guys. We saw the 98 car lead pretty much the whole race. I'd be trying to figure out a way to get a run on that lead car and get around him.
I was wondering how you were going to answer the strategy conversation, Junior. Basically, the fuel window opens about lap 70. I'm with you, though, Dale. I don't see any reason to pit early in the Cup field with perhaps a little bit deeper field of faster cars. You might try to get creative, and maybe that's the Ford's plans. Maybe the 98 and the 22 could talk the 7 and the 20 into pitting early and just coming in, getting their service, and hopefully yellow cycles them to the front. They don't seem to be making a lot of ground running the bottom, but they're going to have to wait till lap 70, Marty, before they can pit under green.
Steve, you see that bottom line, Justin Allgaier, 3rd in line in the red number 7 there, sitting in 21st position. He told his spotter, Eddie DeHaan, a moment ago, we're going to stay committed to the bottom here and just see what happens. But they are concerned about the engine on that number 7 car. You saw Ryan Pemberton with Junior Motorsports a moment ago talking to Hendrick Motorsports engine officials down here on pit road. They say with the fluid they saw on pit road and the fluid we saw when the car cranked up, they're concerned they have at least one cylinder that may be starting to go bad. So far, no word of that from Justin, but that's a concern in the 7 camp.
Hey guys, cancel my idea of pitting under green with the 7. Because if I'm hearing that as another crew chief, that's not a car I want to depend on.
Okay, so strategies change right in the middle of a race, and we just heard it from our crew chief who's on the grounds there at Talladega. Up front, A.J. Allmendinger leading. We go NASCAR nonstop. Only 48 laps to go. NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff race, the Ag Pro 300 from Talladega Superspeedway. Again, A.J. Allmendinger out front. Kelly.
Rick, it took a little bit of strategy to get him there, but as he said, A.J. Allmendinger now leading the way. When I talked to him before the race, he said, look, I've come here to do everything that I can to help out my teammates, Justin Haley and Ross Chastain, but at the end of the day, I'm also here to win. And he admitted to me he is not a fan of this super speedway racing. He's been pretty outspoken about it, been on his roof a couple of times here at Talladega, but he said what makes it different today is how much I enjoy racing with this colleague group, and also just knowing that we're going to have a fast race car. Remember, Marty, he pitted before the end of stage 2, so they're a little bit off sequence there in the 16.
Kelly, Austin Cindric sitting back in 30th, still following Chase Briscoe and the team doing math. Take a listen to the radio.
Forgot to ask, how are we looking at our goal for today? Did we do enough there?
The 18's out, so there's one that's knocked out. So really, it's the 10 and the 20, how they come through.
I won't ask about it again. Just run our race here.
A lot of code there, because if they leave 61 up over 8th place, actually 56 up over 8th place, they will leave here locked into the next round, and that will change what they do at the end of the race. So Brian Wilson having to do math of where they are in the points, and also watching the stopwatches. You guys mentioned the 98 and the 22 back there on purpose. Next week, the Roval, where you qualify, very critical. So they're laying back, trying to get fast lap times, doing all they can to start up front next Saturday.
And I need to remind everyone, these two are probably the two best in the Xfinity Series at road courses. So here are two guys that obviously Briscoe is locked in. Cindric is trying to be locked in based on points. But when you go to the Roval, these two will be the favorites.
Yeah, no question they'll be the favorites. You see them laying back, trying to lay back and get a big run to make a faster lap time. So for reference, they just ran a 49. Briscoe ran a 49.40. And the leader ran a 50.10. So that's, if you're getting hung out and you get pushed to the back, you may as well try to find something that is good, and that's lay a good lap time down. Cindric was the fastest lap that time.
So is this playing the system, or it's just knowing how the system works and taking advantage of it?
It's knowing the rules and taking advantage of it. They didn't mean to get back here. They got the outside lane just got formed and they hung them out, and then once they got back there, well, then it was, well, may as well make the most of it. And you're not going with it single file on the top, Junior. You're not going to go drive to the front. You're just not going to do it with two cars.
Yeah, you can. We're going to pit with the first wave. Both us and the 22 will pit with the first wave of cars that pit. It's not going to open for about another 6 to 7 laps, though.
That's Richard Boswell, crew chief for the 98 Briscoe. You can pass cars one at a time, all the way up to the front, all the way up to second, third place. You can pass cars one at a time, but you have to make those passes at a particular spot on the racetrack.
Look at this. He's going to get quite a few, it looks like, with this run.
If there's a gap and a hole in front of the car in front of you and you can get around them, you fill that gap, and you just continue to do that one car at a time. It's a very slow process and methodical to get your way back up toward the front, but it can be done. Marty.
Hey, Dale, their focus on the 22 car and the 98. One goal, just getting a fast lap time here. I asked Brian Wilson, do you have the fastest lap of the day yet? After all, they're trying to get themselves a better starting spot for next week. He said not yet. 48.8, that's their goal. And their lap time's right now in the low 49. So that's their goal. They're trying to get down to 48.8 so they make sure they turn in that fastest lap of the day.
As far as the playoff guys go, the 9 and the 20 have the fastest laps so far.
See Ross Chastain down there on the bottom.
Oh, big checkup on the outside.
Yeah.
You heard them talking about they're going to start pitting. Well, that's the danger zone also. Green flag stops at Talladega and Daytona both are dangerous. Everybody trying to get on a narrow pit road at the same time. Chastain got hung out. He's on the bottom. See if this bottom lane starts to get formed up now.
Eventually, if cars are coming to pit road, the whole line would migrate to the bottom groove, because pit entrance is on the bottom groove. So these guys got to start thinking about that. So I expect to see that line starting to move down. Get a lap or two within pitting.
Watch this line right here. They're going to make a big run on the bottom. See that big gap right there? That big gap, that's the opening. That's their goal, to try to get to that gap.
The goal is in front of them. That's what they're trying to do on that bottom line. We go NASCAR nonstop, you won't miss a thing. That goal, the hole that was opened up, it's not there anymore. A few have stayed down on that bottom line. We see the 7 of Justin Allgaier. He's trying to make the bottom line work. No change up front, though, with Allmendinger and Gregson. Annette, Hemrick, and Haley, the top 5.
We're getting ready to have cars coming to pit road as you see them snaking to the inside line on the back straightaway. They're all getting ready, preparing for their pit entry off turn 4, waving to each other, letting each other know, hey, we're going to be on the brakes. Don't run over me.
It's not a bad idea here to stay out. Watch how slow everybody gets back here in the middle of the pack. See if anybody runs into the back of somebody.
Oh, yeah, we got a car turned around. The 61, the 22.
Austin Cindric, the 22, has slammed into the inside wall.
One spin in front of you.
Happens so often
Keep
here.
rolling if you can. It's hurt, guys.
This is where stage points could help Austin Cindric. You see the damage to the front of that car. It looks as though his day is done.
It's a miracle it's all pushed in. Can't get it fired.
And there is the disgust. You see it on Brian Wilson's face. Austin Cindric. They were playing the game of staying back, trying to run fast laps. Also Austin Hill in the 61 has made contact with that inside wall.
It's so difficult. You get cars slowing down, and it creates it just like on the interstate. When somebody slows down and 10 cars back is when they make contact. So everybody's trying to get slowed up, and just around they go.
Interesting, the 22 of Austin Cindric, there was nobody behind him.
Yeah, I'd like to get another shot of that. I was looking more in the front.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, maybe too much rear brake.
Yeah, he got
hit.
Oh, yeah. You wave at everyone going down the back straightaway. You hope that your spotter is doing everything on top of the tower, telling everyone around him what's going to happen, that you're coming to pit road.
Stay a little bit lower. Wreck it behind you, you're going to stay out. Stay out. If it goes red, Stay out, stay out, stay out, stay out, stay out.
So they could have gone down pit road right there, and if they not stopped, it wouldn't have been a penalty. But if you don't have to, you don't want to, because you got to slow down.
Always
sounds like he's got tired.
Oh yeah.
And, telling
Like
what's,
your
crush
right
panels,
side
all
figure
kinds
for
of
the
things going
passenger
on,
car.
tore
Slap
up in
around. That might be way
right
here.
in front of that car is probably creating this sound we hear.
Yeah, remember he had the damage to the right side of the car, so that all could be Barabon that's slapping against the car.
There you,
There you go. You see
right
it.
there.
Yeah. And another thing, Junior, at plate races, these cars don't have brakes like we do everywhere else. And when you go to get on pit road, you normally practice that. You normally, during practice, find out where your lift point is, because they brake so differently than a downforce car. And with no practice, you really don't know where that braking zone is. So guys behind are expecting them to brake later, and they brake sooner, and they make contact from the back. I mean, it's just, we see it so often here.
And Jeff, remember, the top speed today has been 195 miles an hour. That's their average speed. They're trying to get to 55. So think about that. They're trying to slow down 140 miles an hour to get to pit road speed.
Yeah, they hadn't had to come to pit road hard either. We've not had any practice, any pit road entrances at high speed. So none of those guys had any point of reference on when they needed to start slowing down. So some of them were probably very conservative, very cautious, probably slowing down way before they needed to. Other guys, some of the veterans maybe, some of the inexperienced guys even, going a little farther, deeper, and running over each other.
Yeah, I always like staying out. If I'm mid-pack and everybody's coming the first time, I want to stay out. I want to thin the crowd out.
You were saying that it's a good time to stay out.
It pains me to say that Burton was right. It pains me to say that.
Well, the mishaps happened again, this time to one of the playoff contenders. You see Austin Hill, he gets into the wall. So does Austin Cindric, just behind him in the 22. Well, next Saturday, it's the first elimination race in the Xfinity Series playoffs, and it's going to be at the Charlotte Roval. So that race coverage begins at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and it will be on NBC. There'll be guys that will come into it and be in must-win situations if they want to advance to the next round. Steve.
So, Rick, I'm going to have to admit, I've got used to all those fancy tools I have up in the booth and down here on pit road. I don't have quite as many. So, Jeff and Junior, you're going to have to help me out. We saw the accident. Unfortunate for the 22 coming to pit road, but some cars in front of me came and serviced their car. The one of Michael Annette, for instance, I saw it take fuel. So we're going to have to go back. So, drivers, I'm going to lean on you. Did they get on pit road before the yellow lights were out? If they did, does that mean they're legal and they could stay out and get track position? Or does everyone have to come to pit road here under yellow?
We are looking right now for some replays to see who got on pit road before they shut it down. We saw Ross Chastain. He saw the pit light closed come on, and he got back on the racetrack, did not pit. We weren't able to see who pitted, but we are looking, and we will provide you that information, Steve.
Ross has had a tough day.
He's annoyed by the noise, I'm sure. Doesn't listen to that too much. He'll be glad when he gets out of that car.
So this is everyone trying to come to pit road, and then when the caution comes out, you see it's red.
So everybody that came is entering a closed pit. From that replay right there. So anybody that stops for service will be in violation.
Yeah, it just depends on when they hit the commitment line, because that's the most important part. Is if they were over the commitment line before that light turns red, then they can come to pit road and do service.
Well, see, I think that a couple of them got the message that, hey, we might not have made a legal entry there, so let's not take service.
That's right, Dale. The rule is if you have not crossed the line before it goes red, at this point you're probably committed anyway with the speed you're carrying. So there's no penalty if you just go straight through pit road. You know, you're going to lose a little bit of track position, but there's no additional penalty. That's, I think, what you were referencing with some cars that turn back onto pit lane. The gamble is, it's a great idea to just go ahead and take fuel and tires. Even if you're wrong, you just got to go to the back. But if you're right, it's an absolute home run. It's just a gamble you have to take split second, and not a lot of information for the crew chiefs here. You just don't have a good view of that pit entry, nor do the spotters at such a big racetrack.
So the 1, the 6, and the 11 were being told by NASCAR they came to pit road too early. So pit road was closed. They did service on it, so they'll have to serve the penalty for that.
And Travis Mack just gave me the hand signal of, oh, we were so close. So he thought the 1 was going to be fair and safe, but too short.
Yeah, so they'll have to start at the tail end of the line for pitting too early.
So we're going to show you another look at this. There's the commitment line and the light.
All right, so once you cross that line, you now are not going to be penalized if you go down pit road, but if you go into your pit box and service the car, you will serve the penalty. So here they come down pit road, and now the drivers don't know. I mean, they just don't know. And you're really waiting on a spotter to try to help you. You can see the 11 back there, the 1. They both serviced. The 9's coming to service, and they called him off.
So smart there that they were heads up on it.
Well, a little disadvantage. If you saw where the 1 was pitted, he was pitted early on pit road. Not as much time to talk about it, not as much time to have a conversation, or even get information from NASCAR. Pits were closed, you know, so that's a disadvantage being in those early boxes.
The laps continue to wind down, but now they're getting into that pit window. We knew that they were trying to come to pit road for the final stop. They're inside that pit window. It's going to end up being another sprint. And we mentioned earlier that it would be 3 races within the 1 race. Well, they're almost going to be equal distant because the first 2 stages were 25 laps. You're going to come down to almost a 30-lap shootout here at Talladega. Kelly?
Brandon Brown, one of those playoff drivers, hasn't had much help as far as Chevy teammates there on track, but he pits from the 3rd position initially. It was going to be no tires, just fuel, and it looks like they're sticking with that. Same for the 19 of Brandon Brown. They had told him, don't slide your tires. Looks like it's just fuel, Marty.
Justin Allgaier slid to a stop and a stall. Didn't slide the tires over. Almost went over the line. Fuel only for all these cars on pit road. With 32 to go, that should get them to the end of the race. Plenty good, Rick.
And it's congested on pit road as we watch the race off of pit road. And Brandon Brown in that 68. Couple positions gained there. No tires on that stop. I mentioned congested. Look at the 7 got pushed out into the grass.
One of the drivers who looked like he had a car to beat here at Talladega is now out of the race. Austin Cindric, what happened there as you were coming down to get to pit road?
Yeah, obviously it looked like the whole pack was going to try and stop there, and felt like that was chaos, especially the further back in the pack that we were. I just got smoked from behind. I had no chance even making it to pit road, so really unfortunate. Obviously hit the wall a ton. Really wanted to have a great run for our CarQuest Ford Mustang. Obviously their first race on the car for us, and really cool to have them back in the sport and run up front all day. And unfortunately, circumstances kept me and the 98 out from being out front. Like the way the slow cars stayed out and the way it worked out, we just went straight to the back, didn't even have a chance. So I can't even say we put ourselves back there. So it really sucks, but part of this type of racing was hoping to get ourselves locked into the next round today and have to go fight for it next week.
We know he'll be one of the favorites at the Roval next week.
Yeah, we mentioned Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe so good at road course racing. Austin Cindric went on a run this season where he won 5 races in the span of 6 races. So only didn't finish up front in one of those. So we know that he can get hot anytime during these playoffs. And it can't be left unsaid, the 68 of Brandon Brown is leading this race. He called his shot 2 weeks ago, said Talladega was his race to win. He's up front right now. Let's see what he does with the lead.
He's up front. He's got the 7 car of Justin Allgaier on his outside, but the organization's in the bottom groove.
How about that 10 car Ross Chastain? He's all the way to 3rd. We thought his day might be over just a little while ago.
Yep, he's up in the mix now. They shuffle Allgaier back to 4th. Allgaier jumps into that inside line. He's going to have somebody trying to get to his outside. Chase Briscoe can't get there, but he's going to go to the inside now. Justin trying to block all those moves unsuccessfully. Interesting to know if that 7 car is making full power. We know he's had some issues with the motor.
How experienced will Brandon Brown in the 68B at blocking or leading a pack?
Look at there.
Have to find out. Very close call there. Chase Briscoe gets shuffled out. The 10 of Ross Chastain was trying to block, couldn't do it in time. He drops back in the inside line. Now Briscoe is leading the outside line.
And also, you have to wonder if Ross Chastain's attitude is, I have to win this race. No stage points. You just wonder if that's what's in his brain right now.
Now it's interesting, too. Briscoe behind him is Ross's teammate, 16 A.J. Allmendinger. Will he help? He's going to push that 98 just a little bit.
You mentioned points earlier, Jeff, and right now the 10, 8 points below the cut line. 6 points now. It keeps moving with every position.
Ross aggressive on the bumper of that 19 car. He sees that outside line making some moves.
So a huge run by Chase Briscoe. Is he able to clear the 68? Not quite.
He wanted to, but he actually got down there and allowed the 68 to see a little bit of side draft there.
Briscoe in that 98, he has some freedom now, though. No teammate on the racetrack with him. He can do whatever he wants to do.
He's got A.J. Allmendinger in the 16 behind him. Another driver that's not a full-time Xfinity Series driver. He's in this to win.
Briscoe moving away, moving down the side draft, moving away to protect from getting side draft. Really coming to his own as a plate racer. He's getting some great help on the outside now. That inside line starting to get disorganized.
Chastain made contact. Chastain's aggressiveness level has gone through the roof right here.
When we talked to Ross Chastain earlier this week, he said, you know, I listen to these races back. I watch them. I hear you guys talking about how I'm aggressive. He goes, why don't you talk about the other guys being aggressive? I said, well, Ross, you've kind of earned that moniker a little bit there. He goes, I understand, I know, but you could talk about the other guys too.
He wears it proudly.
Yeah,
he also wears them white gloves. You can see those hands moving around in that 10 car. He's got his hands full with that 21 car. A little damage on the nose of the 21 of Anthony Alfredo, and that's kind of like a shovel pushing. Very uncomfortable for Ross. Ross jumps in the outside line. Gets around the 7 car here. He's got a great run. Going to team up with the 19 now.
Yeah, we saw the 98 get in front of the 68 now. So that 68 has stayed right on the bottom, and the outside line is moving.
Ross trying to go to the middle right there, but loses some momentum. Look at his hands.
Alfredo dropping back as well with the damage.
Ross is so fidgety at the steering wheel right now. He's definitely pretty intense inside that car.
Brandon Brown lost the inside line as well now, so he's in the middle and has no help.
still 26 to go, guys. This won't last for 26 laps.
Josh Williams down in that bottom groove with some help from Jeremy Clements.
I think this top lane's formed up really nice right now.
Oh, yeah. They've got some great momentum.
Interesting that we see the 92 up there. They changed their paint scheme for Jen Estee for this race. You see Alloy on there. They've also got Pelotania as a sponsor on there, doing that for Jen Estee. And look at this 92. Josh up front on that inside line, running a great race.
Briscoe doing everything he can, trying to get this top line to form up again, to take these guys to the top of this racetrack for the last 25 laps of this race. Josh Williams doing a great job on the bottom, keeping this bottom line up here in contention. As that bottom line starts to drop further and further back, more and more guys in the back of it will bail to that top line. Right now, Josh Williams keeping that from happening.
All right, organized on the bottom, organized on the top. Which one prevails? The short line would be around the bottom, but there's a little more momentum up top.
Yeah, that top's definitely going to be hard to beat. As more laps goes off, as more momentum is built in that high line, as more guys get to wide open throttle, there you see those guys in the back of that inside line start to lose more and more faith for their position and trying to get up in that high line. They're 3 wide back there now. It's really going to take a lot of momentum. There's only really 4 guys sitting in that inside line with those 2 guys side by side doing nothing to help that inside line.
And Marty, the 98 has looked so strong once again up front, dictating everywhere the lines go.
Yeah, 24 to go, Rick. It's almost like you can feel the drivers kind of taking a breath right now. But Chase Briscoe has been fantastic, and only 1 Ford on the racetrack. Richard Broswell, as crew chief, brought that up. He said, hey, we lost our dancing partner. You're going to have to do it on your own. And Junior, you would be impressed with Chase Briscoe. He's mentioned that conversation you guys had about a year and a half ago twice today. And he has really picked up the leadership inside the car, kind of coaching Tim Feedaway, his spotter, saying, hey, talk to Allmendinger. Tell me where he wants to be, what he wants to do. Right now, Chase Briscoe has led 53 laps, kept it out front for most of the day, trying to lead the final 23 here in Talladega.
Yeah, Chase seems like he's really evolved just over a short period of time at the plate tracks, particularly here at Talladega. I mean, he's got so many tools and resources at his fingertips. And Stuart Haas, he talked about the iRacing and how he uses that, he tries to learn from that, draw from it. He's just a student.
2 Junior Motorsports cars, Chevrolets on the bottom of the racetrack trying to make something happen. Will somebody go with them?
Noah's willing to risk getting shuffled to the back of that outside line.
If you look at that opportunity, Harrison Burton in that 20 car, he's got damage to the nose. It's hard for him to keep up with the guy in front of him, so that's the gap. That's what you're racing to. Can you fill the hole between he and the guy in front of him?
And Harrison restarted in the 26th position, so an impressive run for the driver of the 20. We'll see if he can hang on to it. Chase Briscoe out in front, looking to make it 3 wins in a row. Wait a second. It looks as though the caution has come out on the racetrack. We're not going to take a break.
Yeah, there's been some debris on the racetrack. They ran over that debris coming off of turn 4 about a lap ago.
And that could be the source.
Half of the tailpiece missing off of the back of this car, the 6th car. Ryan Vargas involved in an accident earlier.
All right, Steve, 22 to go. How important would it be to come to pit road? Would you see guys come to pit road now?
Well, I think someone in the middle of the back of the pack might come for a final adjustment, maybe clean up that tape job from an earlier accident. We see a lot of damaged cars on the racetrack, but everybody towards the front, you have enough fuel. I don't think a fresh set of sticker tires are going to make a difference for those front 5, 6, 8, even 10 cars. They have the track position they want. I expect to see them to stay on the racetrack. A little update on the 7 of Justin Allgaier, though. We've had a lot of conversation today about potential engine issues. The tail of that car keeps changing color. I talked to the team, and they're questioning whether if they have an issue with some sort of either oil tank or oil pressuring situation. There's a valve in these cars now since that big Ryan Newman accident way back in February. They think perhaps something in the oiling system and that valve aren't working correctly together. So it seems to be a leak, but so far, still running on the racetrack, Marty.
Yeah, you can see the tailpiece of the 7 car. It looks almost sort of, you can see that haze on the back of the car. So that's what their concern is. And look at all that smoke coming out as Jason Burdett watches on. He's watching it as we're watching it. And the quote from Justin Allgaier a moment ago was the oil gauge is going, quote, haywire from 235 to 265. He's kind of pulling down here. So we're going to see if the 7 can limp it home for these final 21 laps. A playoff driver could be in trouble here late at Talladega.
So as we look at the numbers, there are still on the lead lap 30 cars.
It's smoking pretty good now.
There are 31 cars racing. Vanderwall is 14 laps down. But right now, the 7 of Allgaier is only 21 points above the cut line.
I had this happen one time when I was driving for Jack Roush at Talladega, and under caution, it would smoke like this. And then under green, it wouldn't smoke. But this is getting worse. This is getting worse for sure. But it wouldn't smoke under green because of the vacuum that gets created. And within the engine, it wouldn't smoke. The oil would come out, but the vacuum under green, it wouldn't come out. So maybe that's something similar going on here.
And we're going to see if anyone chooses to come to pit road. Looks like the 66 might be stopping. That's Timmy Hill. But everyone else in contention for the win here, as well as playoff drivers, are going to stay out. We'll be right back. Coming up after the race, it's NASCAR America post-race show. Krista, Kyle, and Brad will break down this one, as well as look forward to the next race, which will be the Cup race, which is taking place tomorrow right here. Okay, so the playoff drivers, we mentioned you can't make mistakes. We've had a few already make some mistakes in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Riley Herbst gets turned here by the 61 car into the inside wall. Came into playoffs behind. Leave this race even further behind. Big checkup here on a restart. Chain reaction, bumper tag, turns this 10 car into the outside wall. Ross Chastain then collected here. But he's back and running up in the top 5. Even after this contact right there, big contact for Ross Chastain.
And that Caused troubles in the nose on the 20. They've been working on that ever since. Then Justin Allgaier. Not real sure what's going on with him yet, but developing engine problems. Austin Cindric trying to get on pit road, gets hit from behind. Big impact, ended his day, along with several others. Been a crazy race here, Rick.
19 laps to go, and I think we're not done seeing crashing.
Well, at Talladega, normally we see a big one, and we've used that phrase many times when you come to super speedways. We haven't really seen the big one. We've seen aggressive driving. It's been normally single car incidents that have sent cars careening off of the racetrack. Now we have Allmendinger on the inside row, Chase Briscoe on the outside row. Briscoe has already led 57 laps, 18 laps to go in this race.
That's a long way to go. Briscoe's going to try his hardest to try to drag all these guys back to that top for a single file run toward the end of this race.
Chastain really pushing hard. I didn't think with the damage Chastain has, he could push that well, but he's able to do it.
Teammates side drafting him pretty hard. Now they're 3 wide.
It doesn't look like the 7 is running well. He dropped back quickly.
Good inside line going by the colleague cars. The colleague cars kind of got stuck side by side, and it drug them down, side drafting each other. Here comes Ross Chastain kind of getting his momentum back. You see AJ duck into that inside line way further back.
This bottom lane is formed much better than that outside lane. Now some guys have jumped in the outside lane. That's going to help the momentum of that. Oh, trying to squeeze into getting that top lane. Wasn't able to do it.
You see them gloves. I can't stop looking at the gloves of Ross Chastain. He was wiggling around in there like crazy. The 7 car back to pit road.
Yeah, this
looks
is
like
big.
The motor is going south.
Gregson dives below, tries to get below the 98, but right away you see Chase Briscoe changing direction, and he also is able to block.
Also, look at that black car running in 7th. Mike Snyder doing a nice job today. He's been up there a lot. Anthony Alfredo in that 21 with that damage. And they're going to try to drag this back up to the top. These guys in the front, they want calmness. They don't want chaos right now. If they could drag this lane to get to the top and run single file, that's what they want.
Every lap they run around the top with that 98 car in the lead increases his chance of winning the race, and so he's happy about this. The rest of these guys, if they're okay to do it, thinking, hey man, I'll sit here in 2nd, put myself in position with a couple laps to go.
Think about Ross Chastain back there in 4th. He thought his day was over. You wonder if he feels like he has to win. He's only 4 points behind the cut line right now. I think he would almost, I know he always wants to win, right? But it would almost be a win being hit in the right side of that car as hard as he got hit and finished here. I think he'd have to be happy with that. So how aggressive will he be?
I hated this. Being in this top line like this with the leader controlling it and not leading. It was no fun, and you felt like, just like the leader, every lap we run with him out front increases his percentage of winning, yours goes down. If you're in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, your percentage of winning this race is going down running in that position consistently. So I always hated it. I wanted to be making moves, whatever I needed to do to try to get the lead here.
Well, if you hated it, why didn't you show everybody how to do it?
Like, I was out front. If I was out front, I liked it. But I do not want to be, even in Noah's position. I know it's a very comfortable spot, 2nd place. What's wrong with that? How could that be bad? But that 98 car is going to get harder and harder to pass the closer we get to the end of this race. He's not going to give this up very easily. And we know he's got a great car. You got to try to take this position when he's least expecting it, not when he's expecting it late in the race.
Well, let's go on board with Briscoe and listen to his spotter, the information he's given to his driver.
Starting to get pushy. About 4th place, I'm back. Clear by half, all half by half by half. The 9, the 8, the 10, and the 20 in your mirror. All clear. Clear by half, the 9. No push from the 8 for it. All half by half by half here. Dragging a little bit, but he ain't getting no push. Clear by half. He'll be coming to you here into 3 a little bit. Still clear by half.
We know Ross is pretty aggressive, and I wonder if his team, like he's sitting right now at 0 points to the cut line, and I wonder if his team's giving him any of that information, or whether he has it in his mind that he has to win. Is he comfortable sitting right there? Because he's a guy I think that would be the most impatient, the one that might jump out if he gets this crazy run.
That's the key, right, Junior? So if you're Briscoe leading this race, the only thing you can do is keep it up here on the top. And you've got to be looking out of your mirror the entire way around the racetrack. And as soon as you see a move to the bottom, you have to make a decision. What do I need to do? Do I need to block it? And that decision goes all the way through the field. So if you are Chastain, you're trying to decide, you're sitting there running in fourth, should I make a move to the bottom? Who will go with me if I make that move? And then you also have to be looking in that mirror, your left side mirror, a lot to see if there is a line forming on the bottom. And if it does form, should I jump down and get in front of that line? A lot of decisions being made through this entire field right now, Kelly.
And I haven't heard the team tell Ross Chastain his playoff position, but I have heard him tell him that he is better off up top. They said you're going to have a tough time leading down on the bottom. It's easier to lead up top, so he is staying high. They also had a discussion about who they should be working with during these final laps.
But if we get back in that situation again, I'd appreciate it if we used our teammates instead of shuffling. Thanks. 10-4, that 20 was right behind us. I knew what he was trying to do, but we couldn't do anything with the 20 right behind us to get him up front. So I'd use that as an excuse, but I'm not.
So we've seen those Colleague Racing drivers work so well together in the past. The problem, Marty, is that they just haven't really been able to join up and run in a line today.
Kelly, 2 spots further up, Noah Gregson in that black and orange number 9 car. And remember the radio we played at the end of stage 1. Dave Ellens, his crew chief, told him, hey, you wanted to make the move too early with 12 to go. Earl Barberin and Dave Ellens have reminded him, hey, we have to pick our spot. We cannot make our move too early. 11 to go, Steve. You want your driver to wait a little bit.
Yeah, 11 to go. You want to make that move in the last 4 or 5 laps. Unfortunate update, Junior, for you in the booth. Your driver's running second and third with a 7 of Justin Allgaier. I talked to the team. Definitely an internal motor issue. That's what we were hearing with the gauges and the oil leak, maybe a cylinder wall. Regardless, they're done for the day.
Potential to lose 1 more point because there's only 1 car on the racetrack that could pass him for that position. So right now we saw 10 points above the cut line for Allgaier. He could end up being 9 points above at the end of this race.
So where's the move coming from, guys? First move, I think, is right here. You got the 11 and you got the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger right there together. Those 2 guys are teammates. They have fast cars. They know they can go to the bottom and make up some ground in the corners. I suspect that these guys are not going to sit there and wait for 2 or 3 to go. They're going to make a move before that. Look at this momentum that's getting built right here. Is he dragging them back so when he catches this line, can he hang a left and go by them? Not there, but is he just learning? Is he experimenting, learning how to get that forward momentum on corner entry?
So where he's sitting right now, he's looking out in front of the car in front of him. So that's Brandon Brown in the 68. Is there a car length width gap in front of that 68 that I could fit my car into? If there is, I want to get to the quarter panel of the 68, slow him down, make that gap even bigger in front of him, and then take that gap. 1 car at a time. 1 car past 1 car at a time.
Well, only 9 laps to go, Junior, so the time could be running out, and you never know. One person makes a slight mistake, and a big one happens.
Well, Michael Annett there on the bottom. He has made some ground the last lap by running that bottom. Will those Colleague cars, now he's starting to lose it, will those Colleague cars see that? There you go. There's the move. There's the move right there. They know some momentum's coming from behind.
Oh, the 11's going to get in that spot. The 16
What's going to happen
has to make a quick decision here.
He needs to go in front of his teammate, but he can't do it.
Oh, he's going to be able to fit in this hole right here in front of the 68. Oh, very smart. Patience. Hey, 1 at a time, man. Don't get too greedy trying to pass too many cars, because if you can't get in the hole, they're not going to let you in.
What's so hard about that is trying to take care of your teammate, right? It's one thing to find 1 hole to get in. How are you going to find 2?
At
That's
that point,
a difficult thing.
I know. At that point, the 11 just has to find his spot, and AJ, good luck, buddy.
I agree. Well, you just heard Chris Rice on the radio saying, I appreciate it if you guys will work together. There's pressure coming from the owner. There he is, the 11 car, making a move.
Hard side drafts.
When does the 10 jump out in front of him? The 11 takes another spot. Here comes the 19.
Where's the 19 going to go?
Perfect.
Is this going to work out for Brandon Jones, or is he going to go to the back?
Yeah, he's in trouble.
He's trying to side draft, trying to pull that car back. Anthony Alfredo in the 21 has cleared him. So has Myatt Steiner in the 93.
Haley's doing an amazing job. He's passing cars, but getting in the next gap. Don't keep trying to pass more cars. Just pass a couple, find a gap, pass a couple more, find a gap. And now he's up there almost in the top 5, right in 6th position.
And watch when he passes, right? Watch him if he tries to pass to 20. He first makes the move, then he stays at the left rear quarter panel. That drags the 20 back, and then he completes the pass. Let's see if he tries it again.
Getting a little aggressive up there in the front. Noah Gragson, Hemrick moving around on the back straightaway.
I'm nervous.
Coming up on 6 laps to go when they cross the stripe this time.
See, Brandon Jones has gone all the way to the back of that line. He did. There he is. Finally found a hole to get into with only 1 car behind him.
Another guy who'd like to gain a few more spots. That 39 car would love to gain a few more spots before the end of this race. As these guys start to fan out, look for Ryan Sieg to start to make a few moves from the back of the pack.
Daniel Hemrick has never won a NASCAR race. He's gone from Truck Series, Xfinity Series, even ran in the Cup Series full time. Big run right here by the 16. Will he bring the 11 down? No, Haley stays up, doesn't come down with him. Those teammates not working together. Will the 10 come down and work with the 16?
So now the 11 can make that move. Is he going to make the move? Right now he can do it. He's made the decision not to, though. Stayed on the outside of his teammate.
And will the 16 fall all the way back?
No, he's got some more help. He's got a little bit of help compared to Brandon Jones. Brandon had none whatsoever. There's a little help with AJ.
AJ Allmendinger still fighting on the bottom line.
This is going to form this inside line.
More cars coming down there. Gragson, you see him ducking in and out of line, second in line on the outside.
Such a difficult decision to know whether to try to get down there and make that bottom work. Here's AJ. There's that line. The bottom's formed. Now we're going to be double wide.
Momentum coming from the bottom line.
Well, they're getting a little disorganized on the inside line. Losing some of that momentum they created.
Wasn't a spot for Brandon Brown. He tried to go down. Michael Annett was already there. Four laps to go from Talladega. Can they stay organized?
Stay tuned. The chaos is coming. 9 of the last 12 races here have ended with a last lap pass. You can see why. You can see it starting to happen. Haley making a move.
Yeah, the pushing is tight in that outside line. Haley's got some momentum. He's going to also get some help. They're all going to the bottom.
They all went to the bottom.
Oh, they're all freaking out now. Where do I need to be?
Chastain to the bottom, trying to be the first car leading that bottom lane.
They don't know what line to get in.
Allmendinger back to the top.
And Chastain also is going to jump up into that hole that was there on the top line. Haley leading the bottom line. 3 laps to go.
Briscoe keeps him on the high side here in 1 and 2. He's got to be ready and looking in that mirror. He's really not even looking out the front. He's driving this track by memory, looking in the mirror for any movement in the 9 car to go to the inside and go low. He wants to be able to block that.
Look at Haley now has a big push from the 1 of Annett. We know how fast that 1 car is. That's a great pusher for Haley.
Oh yeah, they're going to make a lot of ground around here in 3 and 4, Jeff. Look at them coming. The 9's going to go down low.
With you now. Clear up.
Oh, he's turning.
Up.
Sideways, but keeps it straight.
What a save.
But now, what can he do? Can he stay on the inside line? He does. The 9's out front.
That was an incredible save. And he's still leading that line.
Keep digging. 11 will push the shit.
2 laps to go. You heard it. The 11's going to push you.
I like where the 98's at, actually.
I didn't like how he got there.
Look at this. He goes up to block the high line. 3 wide.
No in the 11.
The 11 on the inside has got to the door of the 98. No help behind Chase Briscoe right now. Justin Haley leading at Talladega, coming up on the final lap. And again, contact made, the 98 into the wall. Noah Gragson got into the back of him, and now Chase Briscoe falling back.
Coming to 1 to go.
1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank.
Look where Ryan Sieg's at. Look where the 1 car's at. All those guys that are needing good finishes are up toward the front. Ryan Sieg, he's gotten stage points this entire race with an opportunity to finish in the top 5.
3 cars separating themselves. Justin Haley has been amazing on super speedways. He's even won in the Cup Series. He won at Daytona.
Big push coming from the 10 car. Oh, there's contact, they're wrecking.
And the 16 goes around. AJ Allmendinger, he hits the inside wall. They wreck behind them. Will the green stay out all the way to the finish? The caution has come out. That will do it. Justin Haley is going to get his 3rd career win. He has won the last 3 super speedway races, and he joins one of my broadcast partners in doing that. Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's badass right there.
3 in a row for Justin Haley.
Dale Earnhardt did it twice. That don't mean, you know what?
Oh, it does. It's pretty impressive. How
awesome.
about
I
that?
love my job. Love you guys. Out.
The aggressive driving by Noah Gragson. He got into the back of the 98. The 98 got up into the wall. Gragson ends up 4th. You see the 16, AJ Allmendinger. There's the 93, Myatt Snyder. Little in the 4, Jesse Little. There's Harrison Burton limping home in the 20. Harrison Burton, one of the playoff drivers. Now he is 7 points below the cut line with 1 race to go.
So much moving around there for the guys around the cut line in the last couple of laps. Sieg just a few points above the cut line, gets all the way up to 3rd. Now he's 23 plus 23. The 1 car way down below the cut line, now -3 going into the Roval.
How frustrated will the 98 be? Chase Briscoe. Going to take a look at a few replays. Again, a lot happened on the last 2 laps. Briscoe out in front, Gragson behind him. Look at the save right here.
Yeah, that was an incredible save. And then, as Junior said, it almost put him in a lane that was going to work out for him to win the race.
I don't know why he left it. That lane 1, right? Haley's here. He's the race winner. He gets turned sideways right there. He gets down in front of Haley, and this is it. He's in perfect position. If he stays here, I think he wins this race.
Haley celebrating. The burnout taking place right there at the finish line. He's climbing out. The 21-year-old, Winamac, Indiana, wins again, only leading the last 2 laps of the race. Can he be considered a dark horse? He wins and advances into the next round. He thought he was going to slide through the first round, thought everything worked out for him. Sure enough, it worked out great here at Talladega. The win moves him on. Kelly.
And now that is 3 straight super speedway wins for Justin Haley. And as you know, that now puts you in elite company with Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the only 3 men to accomplish that. But how did you get it done today?
I don't know. We had that penalty there, and we struggled to get back, just bunny hopping. Thankfully, Kevin Hamlin, my spotter, was able to guide me through the bunny hops, be able to go from the bottom. I mean, we were so far back with 10 to go. This leaf filter gutter protection Chevrolet, these ECR engines, everyone at RCR. Matt Collig, we love you. I guess 3 in a row. I mean, I told you earlier, everyone's saying it's luck, but 3 in a row is pretty hard to do on luck.
Well, normally we see you working with your colleague teammates, but you guys weren't really able to get together today. How confident were you making a move to get to the low line and that you would have the help from other teammates?
I saw AJ go down there with about 5 to go, and I was like, man, that might be good. So just hopped down there when I got clear and was able to use the draft. They got split up top, so we couldn't get hooked up for some reason. But anyway, got this thing into the round 8. That's the most important. Just super thankful for everyone. This is a blessing.
Could you ever have imagined, though, that your name would be added to a list that has just 2 names, both Earnhardt, on it?
No, you look up to those guys your whole career, and you aspire to be like them. So to be in that class is pretty special. This is my 3rd Talladega win, so I'm going to have to build a bigger trophy case, I guess.
Well, you only led 2 laps today, Rick, but they were the right 2 to lead.
Yeah, the most important one, obviously the last one. NASCAR America post-race show will be coming up. Krista, Kyle, and Brad will break it all down. He's getting good at burnouts and, of course, celebrating. Justin Haley wins again and advances to the next round.